Oh, you guys are so nice and quiet. Sorry for the delay. We had a little too many things in closed session. Okay, we're ready to call to order our joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Paris Joint Powers Authority, and the Paris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris. It's Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 at 6:44 PM. I do need to make a notation that our Mayor Pro Tem, David Starr Rabb, is participating via remotely from the Hyatt Regency located at 1107 Jamboree Road in Newport Beach. No, he's not on vacation. He's on a conference through his job. Item 2 is roll call. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Corona, Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Here.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Here.
Councilmember Nava,
Present.
Mayor Vargas.
Present, thank you. Item 3 is invocation, which will be led by Pastor Dan Bell from the Temple Baptist Church. So please stand and join us and remain standing for item 4, which is our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilmember Corona.
Mayor Vargas, council members and staff, thank you for the honor and privilege of leading us in our invocation this evening. Would you bow your heads? Our Heavenly Father, we come before you with humble hearts, acknowledging you as the source of all wisdom and truth. Thank you for the gift of leadership and for those who serve this city with dedication. Lord, we ask for your guidance in every decision that's made tonight. We ask that you would allow wisdom to flow freely. May unity and mutual respect lead every conversation. We lift up the city of Paris to you, its leaders, its workers, and every family who calls it home. Bless our efforts, protect our peace, and help us build a future that honors you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go Dodgers. Thank you, Pastor. Item 5 is report on closed session items. Attorney Soltani.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session pursuant to Government Section 54956.9D1 in 3 cases. No reportable action was taken. The council met pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 regarding negotiations, labor negotiations. No reportable action was taken. The council also met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 to discuss one potential litigation. No reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Item 6 is our presentation announcements. 6A is a presentation of in recognition of the National Public Works Week. This will be given by our Director of Public Works, Bryant Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city staff. It's my pleasure to announce that National Public Works Week occurs annually during the 3rd week of May. And this year's theme is People, Purpose, and Presence. And a portfolio with that theme is in your little gift bag that we provided for you. This year's theme of People, Purpose, Presence highlights 3 cornerstone ideals that motivate public works professionals to serve in their communities every day, meeting the needs of people and what gives public works its sense of purpose. Many times, public works professionals will never meet those whose lives have been impacted because when things are going right, no one knows the public works is there. Yet, with or without fanfare, public works is ever present, working in the background to advance quality of life for all. Next, I'd just like to highlight a few projects that we've completed this past year. The top left is the D Street between 6th and 8th. That project included new pavement, new landscaping, trees, streetlights, and enhancement pedestrian walkway. This also completes the D Street corridor from San Jacinto to 11th Street. Also on the top right, on the southeast corner of 4th and C, this project included a new monument sign, landscaping, signage, and then we also included some landscaping east of the railroad tracks down to the Paris Bank. Next, we try to repaint the exterior of 2 of our city facilities each year. Last year, we completed the 2 fire stations. And this year, on the bottom left, we completed here at the council's chambers. And then on the bottom right is the Cesar Chavez Library. One other project I'd like to highlight is the remodel of the interior of the library. And in collaboration with county staff and city staff, we replaced all the flooring throughout the library, all new furniture, repainting. We added new LED lighting. We refreshed the mural above the fireplace, and then also added a new mural at the front of the library. Next, I just kind of like to highlight some of the work performances and stats that staff has performed this last year. So staff performs quarterly maintenance of 30-plus open flood channels that cover over 84,000 linear feet, which is over 16 miles of channels cleaned. We remove over 32 tons of trash and debris from these channels annually. Also, staff has replaced 263 regulatory signs, 166 warning and guide signs, 77 street name signs throughout the city, with a total number of 506 signs that we've replaced throughout the city. Also, we've used 45 tons of asphalt to fill over 3,000 potholes, 90 tons of road base that we use for alleyways and dirt roads after any rain events. And then we've used 535 gallons of paint for graffiti abatement. And then we've generated over almost 4,600 work orders. And then we've completed just under 45, which is roughly 97%. Finally, on behalf of Public Works, I'd like to thank the mayor, council, our city manager, assistant city manager, for providing the tools, equipment, and vehicles for Public Works to perform the work that we do for our community. I would also like to thank our Public Works staff for their dedication and hard work in enhancing the lives of those who live, work, and play in the city of Paris. Thanks, and that concludes my presentation.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Council, anybody have any comments or questions, council? Tell your guys and women to keep up the good work. Okay, was there any public comment on this, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
6B is presentation of, in recognition of Building and Safety Month 2025, and this will be given by Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor. This item will be presented by our Building and Safety Manager, Veronica Arana.
Very good.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, staff, and members of our community. On behalf of Building and Safety Division, it is my pleasure to present to you this year's Building and Safety Month held annually in the month of May. Celebrating its 45th year, the International Code Council Building and Safety Month continues to promote awareness, education, and community involvement. Each year, the ICC and its members worldwide host educational events and community activities with all shared goals of spreading knowledge and building standards of personal preparedness. Together with millions of ICC members globally, the City of Paris is proud to participate and promote this important campaign. Before we continue, we'd like to share a brief video that highlights this year's Building and Safety Month theme, Game On.
This year's theme for Building Safety Month is Game On, and we're calling on you to get in the game and take part in learning about and practicing building safety. Each year in May, the International Code Council and other organizations come together to educate our communities about building codes and the role they play in public safety. The theme for Week 1 is the warm-up, and we'll be kicking things off covering the basics of building safety and sharing a bit about Building Safety Month. Discover how building safety impacts our daily lives, including the places where we live, work, learn, and play. Week 2 is all about building your offense by actively supporting building safety programs in your community. Now's the time to gather your teammates and let your voice be heard by attending city council meetings, sharing on social media, and more. From fire and water safety tips to disaster toolkits and sustainable solutions, Week 3 focuses on defense and highlights the things we can do at home to stay safe. Introducing your starting lineup. Week 4 of Building Safety Month shares a glimpse into the world of building safety professionals and spotlights how their knowledge, expertise, and dedication makes our communities safer. Building safety doesn't stop after the fourth quarter or ninth inning. Week 5 goes into overtime and takes a look at some hot topics in the building safety industry, including artificial intelligence, global trends, and more. Building safety is a team effort, and this month we're giving you the playbook to help you make your home, your community, and our world a little safer. Learn how to get involved with Building Safety Month by visiting buildingsafetymonth.org.
Building and Safety Month equals action. So stay curious, stay involved, and make a difference. Every step we take makes our community safer. As we wrap up, we encourage everyone to stay involved beyond Building Safety Month. Keep taking action, and better yet, make it a habit. Stay informed about building safety and personal preparedness. Practice your evacuation plans, update them as needed, and share what you've learned. Building safety isn't just for this month, it's a lifelong commitment to protect ourselves and our communities. This concludes my presentation, and as a small token of our appreciation, we left a small gift for you, which is the black bag on your guys' dais. Thank you again for supporting Building and Safety Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. All right, 6C, City of Paris Employee of the Quarter recognition for the first quarter of 2025. This will be given by Director of Administrative Services, Saida Moscar.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item will be presented by Director of Finance, Matt Schenk.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight, I am here to introduce our Employee of the Quarter, Ms. Desiree Garcia. She is a Accounting Specialist 1. Des has been with the city since July of 2018, originally as a temp, and became fully hired in September of 2023. She is a graduate of Paris High School. During her time in high school, she attended Job Shadow Day here at the city, as well as attending the Paris Employment Program for 6 months, which is a paid internship to provide young adults with career exploration and job skills training. She actually did that in finance as well. After high school, Des went on to Cal State San Marcos, graduating in 2022 with a bachelor's in criminology and justice studies. In December of 2022, the finance department was in the process of converting our water utility billing software, led by our senior accountant, Joyce Lee. Sadly, Joyce Lee passed away May 27, 2024. At this time, we are in the process of a water consolidation project, as well as finalizing the system upgrade. To say the least, it was a hectic time. It was at this time that Ms. Garcia rose to the occasion and completely accepted the challenge of the water utility billing, even though she had no prior experience in it. In a very short time, she became the go-to person for water billings, cleaning up of accounts and preparation of the EMWD consolidation, as well as customer service to over 4,000 commercial and residential accounts. This constant can-do attitude has put her into training on completing bank recs for the city. If you've ever seen our bank recs, they're about that thick for each month. Desiree is a great asset to the finance team, and I want to thank her for her positive attitude every day, as well as all the other finance team, most of who got to join us today, for their dedication. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go down. We'll present her certificates, and then we'll let her give a 10-minute speech. And then we'll take some photos, and you have family members here too? Very good. We only charge $5 a shot, so we're good. Come right down. All right, Desiree. This is the employee of the quarter. Upon recommendation of city staff, the mayor and city council proudly present to you the employee of the first quarter. May it be known that the Employee Recognition Committee hereby acknowledge Desiree Garcia for her dedication and unwavering commitment to the city of Paris. Your efforts are commendable and greatly appreciated. Presented this 13th day of May, 2025. Let her take a picture of your phone.
Can I do one more with the staff members, please? Come on up. Come on. Come on. It was a request. It was a request. I got everybody. Awesome. Here we go, guys. This way. Smile. Drop that chin just a bit. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Nice. You're right there. Perfect.
Okay, Desiree, on top of that, we're going to be giving you a gas gift card, $150, right? That should last a week.
It should, yeah. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to give you a key to the city. All right.
Thank you so much.
Wait,
I
let me
just
start the
wanna-
clock. Let me start the clock.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to my team for nominating me and recognizing me, and they all deserve this as well for all the hard work that they do. I've been a City of Paris resident for the last 15 years, so it's an honor and a privilege to be able to serve the community.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Council, any comments?
Yeah, just quickly. For Ms. Garcia, for Desiree, thank you very much for all the service that you've done for our residents and for our city, and for all the work that you're gonna continue to do a great job. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, congratulations, Desiree. I know you had your work cut out for you regarding the water rate transition, but congratulations, a well-deserved honor, and thank you so much for everything that you do for the city.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Desiree, for everything that you do, for going above and beyond and being recognized today. I congratulate you, and I'm so glad to see a Paris local moving on up here within our city. So thank you so much for everything you do.
You're not in the queue, but did you want to speak?
Yes, sorry. I also would like to congratulate you. I don't know what it is, but I think Paris High graduates are the best. Like, we just keep on coming up. And it all starts with you. So thank you so much. And I know how hard it is to be a front desk clerk because you get a lot of customers. And I really appreciate your grace and what a great person you are. Thank you so much.
So for me, it's exciting and amazing because they mentioned that you went to the Job Shadow Day. So it's nice to see that program is working, having the kids come over and explore. And it's not just about the city, it's also city other services, fire, police, our private business sector. So that just tells us that it's working. So, but coming to Paris, the city was even better. So congratulations, and thank you for coming, Mom, to support her as well. Okay. That takes us to our Youth Advisory Committee, item 7. This report will be given by Shana de las Alas.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and city staff. My name is Shana de las Alas, and I am honored to serve as the Vice President of the Youth Advisory Committee. First, we are thrilled to announce that YAC will be assisting staff with the upcoming Senior Prom event on Friday, May 16. Secondly, we are also excited to assist staff with the National Kids to Park Day event on Saturday, May 17th at Copper Creek. The event is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and there will be outdoor activities along with a community barbecue. We are looking forward to contributing to its success. Following that, our next YAC meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 20, from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Lastly, we want to remind everyone that applications for the 2025 to 2026 YAC term are now open and will remain available until Friday, May 30, 2025. We encourage interested youth to apply and get involved. As always, YAC encourages everyone to stay safe and stay connected. Be sure to follow us on social media at Paris YAC for updates and information about all our upcoming events. Thank you for your time and continued support. We appreciate your partnership in making our community a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Shana. Okay, item 8, public comments. This is what time when any member of the public may bring a matter to the attention of the mayor and the city council that is within our jurisdiction and it's not listed on our agenda, tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Katie Keys?
Is my time starting right now? Because I got to read fast.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me tonight, the mayor and the council and the city staff. What I'm talking about, and you've heard it before, is our Clarence Muse Art Festival that he started in 1965. So it's the 60th anniversary. And of course, he passed away in 1979, so he's long gone, but he's not going to be forgotten. This is what I'm wanting to let everybody know. You know, we've been, the festival is actually on the 60th anniversary, and it's May 31st, 2025. We want you to learn the history of Clarence and why he deserves a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, because that's what we're trying to do for him, because he's so deserving of it. It's free attendance to people. It's free parking around in the Metrolink parking lot in downtown, wherever they can find a place. The Paris Valley Historical has diligently been raising funds to honor the late actor. His 70-year career in acting, singing, producing, directing, songwriting, and much more has earned Clarence that right. He was also one of the founders of our museum in 1964. And He came to Paris Valley in the 1930s, about 1935, and he lived there. It was kind of like a second home to him until he passed away in 1979 at the age of 89, one day before his 90th birthday. He did many great things for the city of Paris and surrounding communities, and you'll learn about that if you come to the festival. Our museum is determined to get this well-deserved star for Clarence completed. It is very expensive and is run by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, costing $75,000. We have raised from the generous hearts of a few people approximately $38,000 already. So we're halfway there. We feel it is so important for all of us to never forget. Our museum has many photos and memorabilia about Clarence that will be on display, plus artists, performers will play and entertain our guests that day. We have a children's section for them to do some art. Our museum would be honored to have you come to this special event and donate, if you can, to honor Clarence with us. You can also check out our Clarence Muse website, www.whowasclarencemuse.org.
Turn it back on, please, IT.
Turn it back on? Oh, it is.
You got to wrap up, but go ahead.
Okay. Our museum and the Paris Valley Historical Museum is a 501c nonprofit corporation. If you need any information, you can call me. I know you don't have my number, but 951-956-9081. We're grateful for anything you can do for Clarence. Let's celebrate the Clarence Muse legacy together, okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And the time is 10 to 3. So 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. We have some great things. Thank you.
Thank you so
and
much.
the city of Paris is helping us, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie. So it's really a shame, I think, when they started this project, I think it was 25 or 30,000 for the star, and it's gone up to 75. So, and he has been approved by the people who do this in Hollywood, so, I mean, and then I'm gonna put it out there now, but hopefully we get this, and I want to bring it up to the attention to, I'm not sure which department it's gonna be, Public Works, Cultural Arts, who we loved, I think it would be a great idea to do a replica star in the front of our movie theater. Absolutely. I can do it for a lot cheaper than 75. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else?
Yes. Ashley Barton.
Hello, Paris City Council. Thank you so much for having us. We want to also say Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, and Happy Mother's Day to all the people who have mothers, whether you chose them or whether they were actually yours. So we just wanted to come and say hello, also to thank everybody who had come to the Inland Empire Pride Festival. It was really wonderful that we were able to represent Paris as a queer organization. There were a lot of people who were very surprised that Paris had a queer organization for representation. And so we were happy to be there. There was at least one person who did come up, and it was really touching, and she was almost in tears, thanking us for being able to be there. She's told us that her father was one of the union leaders for at least the Paris Elementary teachers that I can remember. We're really excited that we can be here for Paris. We're filing for our nonprofit status right now so we can be more accessible to the community and more helpful. And we also wanted to show that we got recognition for our advocacy from Riverside LGBTQ Association. We're really proud of doing this. And then we also wanted to say thank you to the Public Works Department for making the library as beautiful as it is for allowing the mural to stand as tall and as beautiful and as strong as it is. We're happy to have our regular meetings there every month. The next meeting is coming up on May 24th for, it's going to be at 2:30. And lastly, because June is coming up, for Pride Month, we would like to request from City Council a special proclamation for Pride Month to Rise Paris Pride. And because of that, we will also be reaching out to you all separately and individually from that, so we can hopefully work together on this and recognize the much-needed community, especially in these very politically stressful times. I think it's something that is very needed for diversity and inclusion. Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Ashley. And can you send me an email on that proclamation request?
Absolutely. Thank you.
That is all.
All right, moving on. Item 9 is our approval of minutes. 9A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on April 8th, 2025 of the City Council, successor agency, redevelopment agencies, and all the others as listed on our agenda. Because we have Mayor Pro Tem remotely, we're going to have to do roll call voting tonight. Madam Clerk, do we have any comments on, or public requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
All right, there are no other comments from commissioners. I was a late night meeting last, she kept calling me mayor instead of chair, and now I'm calling them commissioners. Council, any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah, we're going to have to do the verbal, the motion in seconds as well. I would just ask you to use your new machine when you want to speak, so I know. Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. 9B is consideration to approve the minutes of special joint meeting held on May 1st, 2025 of the City Council, successor agency, redevelopment agencies, and all the other agencies as listed on our agenda. Any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Council, if no one has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move approval.
I will second that.
Please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, item 10 is consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will have public comment limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak at this time? Council, nobody has any comments or questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
I will second that.
Call the vote, please.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you very much. All right, item 11 is our public hearings. 11A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution numbers next in order regarding annexation of DPR 15-0014. This is the Charlie Paris Apartments to the city's maintenance districts. DPR 15-0014 is located between Paris Boulevard and Barrett Avenue, south of Placencia Avenue. The APNs are 305-080-095 and 305-080-096. The owners are CPR Latera, North Paris Apartments, LLC. So for items 11A through C, these are our routine So I'm going to skip the presentation, and I'm going to call for comments or questions from any of the city council. Seeing none. David, I can't see you on the screen right now. No, nothing?
No comments.
Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:19. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Very good, we'll close the hearing at 7:19. Madam Clerk, can you open up the two ballots, please?
City of Paris annexation of DPR 15-00014 to benefit Zone 161, Flood Control Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 15-00014 to benefit Zone 197, Landscape Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes.
All right, thank you. This time I'll call for a motion on the two resolutions.
Move approval.
Second.
Very good. Mayor Pro Tem motioned, second by Councilwoman Nava.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab,
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. 11B, consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order regarding annexation of DPR 21-00012 to the city's maintenance districts. DPR 21-0012 is located on Medical Center Drive between Orange Avenue and Flame Avenue. APN's 320-020-011, and the owner is Acosta Investments LLC. Council, anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:21. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Going to close the public hearing at 7:21. And Madam Clerk, can you open up the three ballots, please?
City of Paris annexation of DPR 21-00012, Maintenance District Number 84-1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 21-00012 to benefit Zone 198, Landscape Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 21-00012 to benefit Zone 162, Flood Control Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm calling for a motion on the three resolutions.
Nava, motion to approve.
I second.
Call a vote, please.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab,
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, last one, item C, consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order regarding annexation of DPR 21-00012 to CFD 2001-3, that's the North Paris Public Safety District. Annexation number 71, DPR 21-00012 is located on Medical Center Drive between Orange Avenue and Flame Avenue. Same APN as our last one, 320-020-011. The owner again is Acosta Investments LLC. Council, anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:24. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak at this time? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:24. I'm going to call for a motion on the first resolution.
A motion? Ronan?
Nava second.
Call the roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab?
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo?
Yes.
Councilmember Nava?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. At this time, Madam Clerk, will you open up the ballot, please?
Community Facilities, District Number 2001-3, North Paris Public Safety of the City of Paris, Annexation Number 71, Special Tax and Appropriations Limit Election. The ballot is marked yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll call for a motion on the second resolution.
Nava motion to approve.
Rab second.
Nava and Rab. Please,
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab?
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo?
Yes.
Councilmember Nava?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. Okay, item 12, business items not requiring a public hearing. 12A is the Paris Historic Theater Restoration Project Update. This will be introduced by our Director of Public Services, Sabrina Chavez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The City of Paris has partnered with Ox Architecture to develop preliminary design options for the Downtown Paris Theater renovation project. I would like to introduce Brian Wickersham of Ox Architecture, who will be presenting the progress updates as well as welcome your feedback. Brian?
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to speak this evening. As Sabrina mentioned, my name is Brian Wickersham. I'm with Ox Architecture. We've been retained by the city to study 4 scenarios for the Paris Theater. The first scenario is a restoration of the building as it sits today, inclusive of accessibility upgrades and other code compliance issues to be addressed. The second scenario is a minor expansion to provide some back-of-house functions that will be appropriate for a theater of that size, a slightly larger expansion, and a new theater. Where we are in the process is we were retained in the fall of '24. We've been working through the community outreach process. We met with the planning department last month, the Historic Society a couple months before that. And we're here this evening to present where we are in the progress, but also to get council's comments and any comments from the community that haven't had an opportunity to speak to this issue yet. So what we've been doing to date is largely studying the state of the building, both as it is today, but also historically. What we found is that the building replaced a building that was built, an outdoor theater that was built in the late 1930s. And as it stands today, the construction was really completed in 1946. What we found is that it looks like the building was actually sort of a prototype that was used in a few different cities around Riverside County, including the building in Newhall, which I believe is their Elks Lodge today. The building as it sits today is in a pretty bad state of disrepair. While structurally it's not quite as bad as we'd initially been concerned about, there is some structural repairs needed and a lot of cosmetic work that needs to be done, primarily to the inside and the mezzanine area. There's a lot of dry rot and repair that's needed. So in addition to looking at the building itself, we started a study of the adjacencies to the property. So along D Street, one of the biggest things that we're looking at is not just the things that are adjacent, programs that are adjacent, nonprofits that are adjacent, but also parking. We're going to be undertaking a parking study to see the impact of the theater on adjacencies and access to the site, as well as looking at potential for synergies with adjacent businesses and nonprofits. But the biggest thing that we've been looking at is actually a study of the theaters in a 50-mile radius of Paris. And what we've found from that is the data that we're going to start to utilize to figure out the final program for the building. What we found is that the majority of the theaters around this area are an average of about 570 seats. And what that breaks down to is about 433, or 1 seat for every 433 residents. And so we're extrapolating that data to look at what the appropriate size would be for a theater in Paris, not just for today, which would be at a size of about 186 seats, but what's appropriate for the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, and beyond. Because what we really want to do is plan not just for today, but for the future in the way that the original theater was planned in 1946. And so we've been looking at precedents. A few weeks ago, we went with staff to visit the Temecula Theater. This is a really good precedent for us, not just because it gives us a theater that is of a comparable size to what we'd be looking at. The theater underwent a renovation in 2005. The original building was built in 1890, which is being used as a black box theater today. And then a new structure was built on an adjacent parcel. And that project was about $16 million in 20 years ago dollars. And what that equates to is about $820 a square foot. And so what we're looking at is not just programmatically what they're doing in Temecula, but what it's also generating today in revenue, which is about $5 million a year for the city. We also have looked at the theater in Fontana, which is a slightly smaller scale renovation that was done to a building from the 1930s. This project was renovated in 2008 for about $550 a square foot. And while it's a little bit smaller, it also has a lot of programmatic elements that we think would work really well in this theater. There's a lot of functionality and there's a lot of opportunity for different types of events that can be hosted in this theater. And so really, it's all to say that what we're doing right now is looking at not just the theater as it sits today, but also adjacencies and different opportunities that would be appropriate for the city of Paris. And most importantly, the thing that we've been doing is talking to the community. And through our community outreach efforts, we found that everyone is super excited about the potential of renovating or bringing back the theater in some new capacity. And so what we're really looking at is getting aggregate information of the types of things people want to see. Everyone wants to see theater, they want to see music, film screenings, and comedy. And so what we're really finding from these efforts is that we need a theater that's really flexible and has the opportunity to be used in a lot of different ways. The community has also said that they'd like it to be used for local nonprofits, local music groups, the community to utilize, as well as professional performers. And the professional performers is where we're starting to look at the need for some greater back-of-house space so we can accommodate those. And that really does impact the revenue generation possibility. And then the last thing that we're really looking at is the different amenities that are potential within the space. Everyone really likes the idea of not just the renovation of the building, but the opportunity to activate the street, both with cafes, restaurants, outdoor performance space, and the opportunity for exhibition. One thing that's been really great is that every time we talk to the community, there's a new idea that I think is going to influence us. And I think the idea of a nice little walk of fame in front is a great idea that Katie always seems to bring great ideas every time I see her in this space. So really, I wanted to get through this quickly tonight because the biggest thing is we wanted the opportunity for council to give some of their feedback on what they could see happening in the space, the adjacent spaces, and so we can start to formulate that into the presentation that we're going to be giving to council on June 10th. Really, we're still in the information gathering phase of this, leading up towards that presentation where we'll show you some concepts for the different approaches. And that's my presentation, and I'd just like to open it up for comments from council.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, do you have any public requests to speak on this?
No, sir.
All right. Council, anybody? Councilman Corona?
Yeah, so are you looking for direction? I mean, obviously we're not voting on anything right now, just kind of some of our comments.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is that we'd like to get your feedback on ideas, ways that the space might be utilized, even memories of the space. A lot of the feedback that we've been getting is about the importance of the building as it sits today and the sort of memories it evokes. And so really, it's up to you, the things that are most important to you, things we should be thinking about or we should be considering as we work through the design process.
Yeah, so I think when we discussed this a few years ago, I think we kind of gave our opinions and stuff like that. I've lived in the city for, 38 years now. I don't know if I've ever been to that building when it was still in use. I know it was a church, but I think that building has been vacant from a theater than it has been a theater, if that makes sense. I don't know if I said that correctly. But
I think that's accurate.
I know you talked to the people that have lived here even longer than I have, and they have memories as a kid and stuff like that. But I do want to point out when the building was built, at least in 1950, so even after that, the city of Paris had 1,800 residents. We're now over 80,000 residents. So I think what we need to do is look for some use that could be for a city today, and also, as you stated, for tomorrow. And I'm not sure if the old theater concept would fit that. Yeah, I envision a multi-use, kind of like an auditorium. I did have a chance to tour that building, and yeah, with the ceilings, falling down and stuff like that part could get fixed. But it does also, besides that, it does need to be built, to the standards of today. I know we could try to shoot for historical things, but I mean, it wasn't. I'm gonna be honest, and I know some people might get offended, but I don't think when they built it in 1946, I don't think they built it to last 80 years. I don't think it was meant. Like, if you really look at the structure of it, it's not a beautifully built building, right? I've had an opportunity to go to the Fox Theater, the new Fox Theater, and I know they had some issues, and I mean, it's beautiful now. Right, I did have an opportunity to go see the Ford Theater in Washington D.C., where obviously famous for the assassination of Lincoln, and they have pictures where it was completely gutted. I mean, they didn't keep anything historical about it, just a shell of it. And I would like to keep the signage, the part that says Paris, and because I think it is iconic. So if we could kind of incorporate that into kind of a newer concept, I would actually prefer that. Over trying to spend so much money and trying to preserve what's there, which wasn't built to last, right? I mean, I have way more memories of the new theater that we just tore down, right? I mean, I spent a lot of my childhood there, and I didn't feel a sense of nostalgia when they tore it down because I know, hey, it served its purpose. Obviously, some people still want it, but I don't feel this sense of like, oh, how we're not preserving this. I have more people in Paris today have more memories of that theater than they do of this theater. So yeah, I guess just to kind of just make this go a little faster, I do envision something kind of similar to what Fontana had. That sloped floor. If we could do like a cut off drop, and then kind of it's flat, right? So that way you could have concerts, people could dance. We could do rentals for a wedding or rentals for quinceañera or something along that line. I said before, and I'm open to potentially demolishing a large portion of it to make it bigger and grander for the Paris of today, but also keeping some of the features, the historical, iconic features that we had.
Yeah, that's a common comment that we're getting, that the blade sign and the marquee is so iconic.
Yes.
And I think so important to the community. And so we're going to be really looking for ways to preserve that which is really important to the community. And I think it's going to be the balance of the new functions and the opportunity for revenue generation versus the thing that really defines the building, which is that iconic blade sign and marquee.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you looked at prices, like for what the four options would be? I mean, is that because I think that makes a big decision factor, and I think the residents would appreciate that.
So our study will include 4 cost estimates for each of the schemes. And so we've partnered with Gardner and Theobald, which is an international cost estimating company. And so we're going to be giving a range of prices for each of the 4 scenarios. And we'll try to include in estimate on escalation, so we can also think about what potential change may happen in the time that we're developing the project as well.
Okay, great. And then I know some people that keep bringing up what Hemet's doing. I don't think they have anything built yet, but they have these major plans or something like that. Have we talked to them? Have we?
We actually visited Hemet to see their theater and to talk to them a little bit about their plans. It's our understanding that they're going to be partnering with the casino in order to do a large-scale renovation and then also some activation on the street.
So it's not going to have a casino in there. They're going to partner with the casino.
That's our understanding. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not going to be there's not a casino in there, but it's going to be like the Soboba whatever auditorium maybe or something like that.
It wasn't completely clear, but they have some partnership plans. And I think that that's one of the things that we'll talk about is the opportunity for partnership and where the city may go to look for those kind of opportunities. It may not be a casino, but there are, I think, a lot of groups that you could partner with to help with the programming, or nonprofits that could also help bring in people.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think you have took a lot of time. Go ahead.
Yeah, before I call on the mayor, I just want to make it very clear. I don't build casinos outside of Indian reservations. There's no way we can do that. So I don't want this community to think, oh my God, there's going to be a casino in there. There's no casino, folks.
That's 100% right.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I'd like to echo some of the sentiments Councilman Corona made regarding the theater. We're about the same age, and I remember this theater's basically been empty my whole entire life. I remember they had a showing of, I think it was the movie Calendar Girl back in '91. And that was filmed in Paris. But I remember my parents saying even by the 70s, it was really not an operational theater. They were showing not mainstream movies at that time. But I do like the Fontana idea, where it has the multi-use, maybe even like split it up, where you have the auditorium section and then more like a free-flowing section where you can put out tables for different parties, events, weddings, and you could have the wedding party right back there. We could open it up for conferences as well. Given the structural issues, is there any issues with asbestos in that building or any other structure? You said the structure is actually pretty good, but in terms of any contaminants from back in the day?
I would almost guarantee that there will be some contaminants in there. At least at a minimum, there will be some lead paint that we'll have to deal with. At this point, phase 1 environmental has not been completed, but that will be one of our recommendations for the next phase of work after the concepts, is to do soils reports and a phase 1 environmental.
And then the slope that they have in there, that's definitely not ADA compliant. Would we have to fill that in, or? I remember it being I've been there about 2 years ago. I remember it being really steep, going down.
In all of our scenarios, it will require a pretty large accessibility upgrade. It's way too steep right now.
Okay. And I'd actually agree with Councilman Corona regarding if we can look at maybe salvaging the exterior or the front exterior of the building. He mentioned Ford's Theater, which is a good example. I know a lot of people don't realize that the White House that you go to now was completely redone back in, I think it was 1948 to 1950. They basically gutted the whole interior of the White House, replaced those wooden beams from the days of, Adams and Madison with steel beams. So the White House you see today is basically less than 80 years old. So maybe we can look into something like that where it'd make it more, we'd retain the exterior of the building, but it would be much more permanent and much more lasting for the needs of today. So I think I'd actually agree with a lot of things Councilman Corona said.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Vallejo.
Yeah, I also agree with my other 2 council members. But the question that I had is if we could use it as a multi-use, or what I'm thinking is, I'm trying to figure out like how do we divide it half and half? So like if we like are you saying to include seats and then have a side auditorium or
So I think Council Rev was saying, I could kind of envision something where we keep some of the back seats that are kind of slanted, sloped, and then it's like a kind of a large drop off, obviously with railing and security and stuff, and then you kind of have a flat surface.
so if we
Like what Fontana had.
okay, so then if we were to do that, how much land do you think we're losing for like the theater and also for like a multi-use floor?
So in the proposals that we'll be presenting to council on June 10th, we're going to be showing a number of different scenarios. One of them will be a collapsible seating system that would enable you to not have that flat area at the front, but towards the back, because that will work from an accessibility standpoint. But in all the work that we're doing, it seems like the necessity to have a very flexible space that can be used in a lot of ways is going to be very important. And we think that there's one big opportunity for the city, and that's to host conferences and small events. And you really need a lot of flexibility to do that and the ability to serve meals. And so we'll have that broken down with the different pros and cons that go with it, because in order to also do conferences, there's a F&B component that you have to have with it, a kitchen that can serve a capacity of, 300 people all at once. And so, but that will all be in there.
Okay, and can you also remind me about the parking spaces? Like where would that be and how many they can fit depending on the project?
So what we're looking at is the impact on the adjacent area, the utilization of street parking as well as the metro lot. Adjacent to it is a large parking area, but in conversations with community and planning department, historic society, it really seems like everyone wants the opportunity and the ability to do some outside performances adjacent to the building. And so we're going to be looking at whether or not we need to provide parking adjacent to it, or we have enough parking capacity in the area around it already. And so that will be part of the study that we
And when you
provide.
say outside performances, what do you mean specifically?
What I specifically mean is that adjacent to the theater, you could host an art fair, you could have a small performance outside. We really view that large empty lot adjacent to it as an opportunity to add some additional utility to the project. And so we'll be looking at a few different scenarios for how that could be utilized, and one of them is parking.
And would there be any other type of construction like on that lot, like redo the pavement, or is there anything that you have to do?
So I think the way that we're going to be presenting this is more like a menu.
Yeah, let me interject here real quick. He's just fact-finding with us like they did with the community. He's just gathering ideas of what you guys want to see. He's going to incorporate that with the community, and then he's going to come back and give us samples of everything, and then that's when we can get more finer tuned.
With the details.
Yeah, some of these questions we're asking, that's a little more advanced. We're not there yet. He just wants to get our input of what our vision would be. Go ahead.
Thank you. No,
Thanks.
thank you for clarifying that.
That's okay.
But for what it's worth, asking those questions also makes us think about, different things we need to include within it. So every question is valuable.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the presentation. I really like what you had to offer as far as also including the mixed use of the building. I feel that that's really important. Now, beyond outside performances, is there also consideration or proposals for any other types of uses outdoors?
Yeah, I think that what we're really looking at is how you provide a universally accessible space that can be used in a lot of ways, both interior and exterior. And that can be done in a lot of different ways. And so again, we'll be trying to present a series of menu items that you don't necessarily have to say, we want this scheme. The city will be able to say, we like this in this scheme, this in this scheme. And so when the ultimate RFP goes out after we get through the concept design, you can tailor it to the items that you want best.
Okay, got it. I appreciate the exploring of all the different options, and I'm really looking forward to see what you're able to bring back. And just another question I have is, typically when these historic buildings are brought up to date, there seems to be issues with air conditioning or heating. Is that something that we anticipate with this project?
Yes, you're bringing up a number of the things that we're going to be looking at. The scenarios 1 and 2, where we're looking at restoration of the existing building and a small-scale addition to the building, are more challenged from an HVAC perspective. You never really want to put your mechanical units on top of a theater space because of the acoustics. And so we'll be needing to look at different ways of approaching that provide the appropriate heating and air conditioning, but also don't take away from performance.
Okay,
And so,
good.
yeah, that is a major thing we have to consider.
Okay,
And also
good.
the structural capacity of the roofs.
Okay, thank you. And I only bring that up because I've visited several sites and that seems to be an issue that they didn't consider. So I'm glad that you're already exploring those options. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the menu and the cost analysis and really looking forward to that. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
You want in again?
Yeah.
Councilman Corona?
Yeah, so I do want to ask, were there any considerations to possibly, change? I think currently the layouts, you're coming from D Street and you're going east, and that's the stage. But were there any considerations to leave the entrance on D Street, but it's more of a I guess north-south kind of direction, which will mean that we have more room to play around with if you use that parking lot next to it.
I promise that we'll give you a lot to look at on June 10th.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
So, my 2 cents is you got to keep the outside the way it is. Looking at that picture here, that is historic. I would never want to touch that. I mean, look at the lights. I would even love to see that lit up like that. And then, of course, the inside, sure, gut it and redo it, bring it up to par. And like Councilwoman Nava said it exactly. We're looking forward to seeing what you come back with. And then we can do our final touches. And of course, it's all about dollars and cents, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get a big bang for our buck.
Yeah, I think that that's the goal, to not just consider it from the cost of construction, but also the economic potential of it
Sure.
as well. And so we'll be including all that in our
I think
reports.
the key operative word is a performance theater, what those are designed to do.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a wide variety that you already looked at, and you've had a lot of community input, which I appreciate. And looking forward to seeing can we get this done by the end of the year?
This construction drawings are going to be submitted to Building and Safety on June 11th. It's going to take us a little bit of time, but it's important that we don't rush through this process. We get
Absolutely.
the community feedback. And I think that the ultimate goal that we're conveying to everyone is that we really view this as an opportunity for a catalyst for D Street, for the community, something that can bring in a lot of opportunity. And that's really the hope with this project.
Excellent.
Can
All
I
right.
add one more thing? I don't know if it was already suggested, but you know how a lot of other theaters, I like to keep the Paris sign. I think that's cool, but I think if we can also add that signage of where all the bands kind of put like, oh, sold out, or kind of like that
Kiosk, the
signage. Kiosk, yeah.
Marquee.
Marquee, that's
That
the
would
word,
be a great
marquee.
thing to add. I think that would really show.
And it had it at one time.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, sad.
On the pictures that he was showing.
Yeah, if you look back into the original 1930s,
There it
40s,
is.
there was a marquee on
Oh,
there.
I think that would be great to have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for all
And
the shows.
I mean, if
where
you want to push that, I want to see that booth back in there too. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate all the information.
You're very
Looking-
welcome.
Looking
Thank you.
forward to the return.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Item 12B. My glasses back on. 12B is consideration and discussion regarding no net loss density bonus ordinance for establishing a residential density bonus program to maintain a baseline residential capacity as required by Senate Bill 330. This will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, and member of the City Council. This item will be presented by our Principal Planner, Rafael Garcia.
Honorable Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council, good to be here before you once again tonight. As you indicated, the item before you tonight is for your consideration, a no net loss ordinance to establish a residential density bonus program to maintain a baseline residential capacity as required by Senate Bill 330. So just to provide a little bit of the background regarding this item before you tonight, on January 14, 2025, staff was directed to bring back the no net loss ordinance for consideration. The item was brought before the City Council on February 11th, but it was continued off calendar to a future meeting. That's led to tonight. We are bringing this item back to you for consideration. The item before you tonight is basically functions as a tool. In order to be compliant with Senate Bill 330, the state of California has declared a state of emergency with regards to housing, and in an attempt to protect existing housing stock, they have adopted a wide variety of rules and regulations that the city has to comply with. One of the main goals regarding this no net loss ordinance is to make sure that there is not a loss in residential capacity throughout the city. Any reduction in in the overall residential capacity of the city must be relocated to an alternative site. What the program does that's before you tonight as part of this ordinance is that it functions as a residential unit bank. This unit bank acts as a ledger to offset any loss associated with the residential density of a project. So as an example, if a change of zone request was to come before you as part of a future project, and there was a piece of residential property, residentially zoned property, that was proposed to be rezoned to an alternative zoning designation, the state requires that that residential capacity be relocated to an alternative site in order to maintain the overall residential capacity that would be allowed throughout the city. Staff has looked into this, and there are a wide variety of ordinances that have already been adopted throughout the county and throughout the Inland Empire. Beaumont, Eastville, Fontana, and Moreno Valley have all adopted ordinances that vary slightly, but that are analogous to what's before you tonight. These ordinances are typically function citywide, and they allow for residential densities to be transferred to residential zones, and with an increase of up to 30%. Now, as part of this, staff started to identify potential areas in the city that could potentially serve as part of this overall program. One of the areas that was identified was the River Glen specific plan area. For the benefit of the public, the River Glen specific plan area is located just east of Case Road, adjacent to the Metrolink station. Currently, the River Glen specific plan allows a residential density of approximately 6.3 residential units per acre, which equates to approximately 1,257 residential units. If the council was to adopt a future project and allow a greater density of up to 30 units per acre, that would equate to approximately just under 6,000 residential units as part of the specific plan. Staff has looked into this specific area because the zoning of the property, of the site of the specific plan, can be characterized as largely single-family. Because it's largely single-family, it's conducive to allowing potentially higher densities within this specific area. Now, staff did have a meeting with the representative on behalf of the ownership group. They indicated that overall they were supportive of the concept. They also indicated that this type of ordinance could make the specific plan area more financially viable. The slide here shows a breakdown, rundown of the overall density that currently exists, which is 6.3 units, and the overall number of units that would be allowed with each of the corresponding densities. As I indicated before, the existing density is 6.3 dwelling units per acre, total of approximately 1,257 units. If you were to increase the density to 30 units, the overall units allowed in the specific plan area would be approximately 5,964. That's being provided for the context so that the council can take that into consideration. Overall, an overlay zone would be created for the River Glen specific plan that would allow up to 30 units per acre, subject to approval of a density bonus. Every project proposing to use this area to relocate units from another site must be approved independently through its own entitlement process. So that's not what's before you tonight. What's before you tonight is simply the the program that would create the residential unit bank, which would create the ledger that would provide the mechanism that would allow somebody to transfer the density from one site to another. A future specific plan amendment must also be processed in conjunction with the project to designate the areas for higher density within the River Glen specific plan. If the city council directs staff to move forward, the ordinance would be reviewed by the planning commission, and they would make a formal recommendation before final approval before the city council. With all this in mind, staff is recommending that the city council consider and provide direction to staff regarding the development of a potential no net loss ordinance to offset the potential loss of residential density from one site to another. Also, as a reminder, we did receive comments from the public regarding this specific item, and those comments have been distributed for your consideration. That concludes the presentation. Staff is able to answer any questions that the members of the city council, members of the audience may have pertaining to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. Before we start with any comments, Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Jairo Carbajal.
Hello, Council. I sent an email earlier on behalf of Paris Neighbors in Action urging you to reconsider the terms of this proposed ordinance today. The state already has SB 330, which was put in place to protect residents and address the housing crisis. The ordinance tonight chooses the future neighborhood of River Glen as a candidate to receive density bonus overlay to increase the capacity in the event that the developer wishes to remove housing capacity elsewhere in the city. This is really concerning. Rather than protecting our residential neighborhoods, this ordinance just makes it easier for developers to bypass the city's general plan. A density bonus overlay should not be treated as a default response to lost housing. It should be a last resort, not a built-in loophole. This just makes it easier for developers to override the city's development plans. Instead, we should take this opportunity to strengthen safeguards around residential zoning and ensure we are preserving what remains of Paris housing stock. In August of 2024, the environmental documents for the Harvest Landing project by the developer Tim Howard explained that they plan to use a density bonus overlay to comply with SB 330. Paris Neighbors sent a letter in opposition to this strategy and urged them to consider other avenues to solve the issue. We can only assume that this ordinance is an attempt to buy their way out of the problem they created. If the city wishes to lay out better terms for which developers are expected to comply with SB 330, it would be better to establish rules that are more strict. This is an opportunity to make sure that developers seeking to rezone our residential lands also take on the responsibility of seeing that housing through to the end. Again, Paris Neighbors in Action is in support of the city determining guidelines to comply with SB 330, but as of right now, it is flawed and just an attempt at piecemealing the upcoming project Harvest Landing to secure its approval. And again, it's probably best not to take advice from the one and only Tim Howard, who is known for destroying housing, especially with people in it currently, and destroying communities. Thank you.
Anybody else?
That is all.
All right, Council, anybody? Councilman Corona?
Okay, yeah, I do have some questions for staff. I do want to thank our speaker for coming up here, and for the email too. I think we all received the email. I did have some questions and concerns regarding this item for our staff. I personally have not received any developers coming up to me and talking about their concerns, saying, hey, I have this commercial development or this grocery store development, and but the problem is there's a couple houses here. And so I do want to ask our staff, have we had any commercial developers ask about this item?
Some developers express interest in some sort of a density bonus option like this.
Commercial developers?
They've been mostly industrial developers.
Have we had any commercial developers?
Those projects includes commercial and industrial components.
Okay, so, okay. Which developers, like which specific plans?
Well, specifically the Harvest Landing.
Harvest
They
Landing?
approached staff
Tim
about-
Howard?
Tim Howard.
Tim Howard wants to get it, okay.
Yeah, Tim Howard, and I would say Lewis, and then the Hillwood project.
So all people that want to rezone from residential to industrial?
Yes, they've expressed interest.
Anybody for commercial, like only commercial?
No.
We haven't, okay. All right, now with the River Glen, I don't own the property at River Glen, but they want to increase the density from 6 units to 30 units, increasing it potentially up to 5,000 units. Have they gone through engineering? Has engineering take a look at that to see how that would impact the infrastructure?
Not at this point. If
Okay.
this density bonus, if it was, the council directed us to move forward, we would look into that when a project came into place. But right now, it's just creating a framework that would comply with SB 330, no net loss.
So they're willing to be the dumping ground, which, I mean, if they want to increase the density to make it more marketable, I totally understand that. But, I mean, but they haven't, I don't think anybody talked about how that's going to impact the infrastructure?
That would be handled.
preliminary?
It would be handled at the time of, let's say if they decided they want to take a portion. They don't have to take the whole site, for example. Let's say they want to take a portion of the site, then we would analyze it at that point.
Okay. I got you. Okay. But then, I mean, but the council could just override it. If there's major concerns about the infrastructure, any council could just override that, right?
Yeah, you can express concern when the project came through.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, I think it's kind of clear, like who's, who definitely wants that. But I do understand that there is some portion of there that is commercial, and I do think that it's a good place to have commercial. So I am open to it, to passing an ordinance. I mean I know we're not deciding right now, but to look into writing an ordinance, but specifically for commercial. If we do industrial, if it ever gets there, which I don't agree with at this time, but I think there's some things that we do need to look into. Like, for example, they do need to build concurrently, as their project is getting there. There should also be a limit on the size of the warehouse that could be rezoned for that. Because what the concern I have is that you're going to have a developer who they want to rezone their land, but they're also going to use that to rezone another land, and increase the density, increase the community makeup of another area. And I'm very, and for the sake of industrial. I mean, I think we could be honest with that. It's not really for commercial. I know that there is a commercial thing. I do want to leave it open for commercial, but at this time, I'm very concerned about doing it for any type of project and just only leaving it for commercial. That's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Vallejo?
Yeah, I also agree with Councilmember Corona. I do believe the ordinance itself, I do believe that it's a tool, and I do believe that it can create many opportunities. And I think this ordinance is especially a good idea because this weekend we are going to go to the International Council of Shopping Centers. So I think that would attract more commercials that if they had the opportunity that they could be here. But I also agree with to have a little bit more stricter laws regarding warehouses. I do believe that let's say, if a developer wants to do this or have this ordinance, then I don't know if it's already in place, but they should have already a developer in mind. They should already have all the permits and have everything ready. And I do want to make sure if there's even a clause for like affordability to make it for low income, I think that would really help our residents, and as well as a limit of it as well. I do think we need to really decrease that limit because we already have way too many warehouses and really, really big ones. And I get more concerned that the more that we don't put these laws in place, then these developers will take over and they'll just move these houses to the side. But I want real and connected rules to where if something fails, then it's on their end. And I also believe if we can take it a little bit step further is, what if we do pass this ordinance too, and if, let's say, if a developer wants to, then we can add a fund and say, okay, we will allow you to do this and put this here and do this ordinance, but you have to put money into housing crisis fund to where they get to help low-income communities in housing where they can also pay their rent. So something that helps more the housing and the community is something that I would be more open with. Thank you.
I don't see anybody else in the queue. David, you good? So I think it's an important tool to have for all developers. I know Tim Howard, yes, everybody's talking about his project, but it's not just about his project. It can be any future project that we have to really look at this ordinance because it could be potentially shopping or commercial, as well as industrial. That's always going to be a component, but without having this available would really limit what we can do and what we're trying to do in some areas. Going up to the higher density, I guess obviously that would draft or promote more affordable housing as opposed to a larger residential, which we don't get a lot of complaints about that, about being affordable housing in this city. So I definitely support to do this ordinance. I think we need to still continue to look into it, how we're going to draft it. But I think it's going to be a viable tool for all our developers in our city, whether they're commercial, industrial, whatever the case may be, even business park as well. Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. For clarification, could we address this per project? Let's say, best case scenario, a commercial applicant wishes to relocate homes. Can this be considered per applicant, or is it something that has to be a blanket statement?
No, it would be applied per project. This just creates the framework, but when a project comes through, we would have to consider case by case because the way SB 330 works is when you go to a hearing body, the transfer has to happen the same evening. That decision has to be made at the same time. It's called concurrent rezoning. And so it would be project by project at the end of the day in practical purposes.
Okay, so even if this were to move forward, it doesn't automatically allow for such transfer. The component would still have, okay.
Correct.
Exactly. The law requires this legislative body to pass an ordinance that becomes the framework for them to use and analyze every time a project comes in requesting that. You retain your discretion on a project-by-project analysis basis.
Okay, because I do hear the apprehension from my colleagues as far as a warehouse or industrial component using this to their favor. But if that were the case, we still have to run it through. So then what is the point of passing or moving forward with what we have on the agenda today when we could discuss this case by case?
You couldn't discuss it case by case unless you have the ordinance in place.
Got it.
So first you have to pass the ordinance to allow it as a tool for you to consider the swap.
Understood. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Anybody else? Councilman Cronin?
No, I mean, like, are you one direction? Have you got enough information? Or do you need more? Like, I know we're kind of like.
Yes, I think staff can move forward with preparing some type of ordinance that would go before the planning commission, if that's what the
It
city
has to go to
council
planning
wishes.
commission first, correct? Okay.
And again, what the item before you is, it's a mechanism that would basically allow a residential property to be rezoned, as an example, to commercial.
To be moved somewhere else.
Correct. So the relocation cannot happen without this. So if, let's say that tomorrow and a developer comes in with a desirable commercial project, and he says, I want to rezone a residential property, and I want to go from residential to commercial. The answer is, sorry, show us how you're going to comply with SB 330. You would not be allowed to simply get rid of the residential, because the notion is that you would be getting rid of those residential units. So there is no mechanism to facilitate that as of right now. What the item before you tonight is a mechanism that would allow you to transfer residential units from one site to another.
City Manager, do you have a comment?
Yeah, if I may, I just want to clarify that at this time, the council can choose not to do an overlay zone. You can do this anytime in the future if there's a project in the horizon that's coming forward. You can bring this back anytime. So like I said, right now there is no project. Well, we know there's a project that is in hopes that this does go through. It does include a commercial component, but you can always bring this back at a later time when you have a standalone commercial at such time. So it's up to the council.
I'm sorry, can you be more transparent? Which project is trying to,
Well, Howard Industries. Yes.
Harvest Landing, trying to
Yes.
rezone for the
Harvest
warehouse
Landing.
project?
Yes,
Okay.
Harvest Landing, yes. And a few, and like Kenneth mentioned, there are other developers that are also, would like to take, if this were to go through, they'd be wanting to use this for transfers also. So-
Because currently they have residential land and they want to move the residential land
Yes, there
to have
are
industrial projects.
Correct.
Warehouses.
It's not just warehouses, but also commercial. It's a
Okay.
mix. Mhm.
But,
Yes.
okay. But are there anyone trying to do just commercial?
Not requiring not requiring a transfer of residential at this time.
Okay, so it's for this, like, they want this to move forward for industrial, okay.
It's a first step, but again, like our city attorney mentioned, the actual project itself still requires your discretion.
Right.
So it's not a given, it's not an approval automatically.
Okay.
And the Harvest Landing is not just about logistics, it's a big chunk of commercial. So it's, for that one, it's both in particular. But this sets the route to be able to even do that and discuss it. If you don't have that in place, you can't do that for anybody down the road, whether it's logistics or commercial. So it's important to at least get it approved, and then every time a project comes, that's when you go dig into it even more. Just setting the basis for it.
Right, so I think I made my comments about, I'm open for commercial. I'm very, very hesitant for the industrial, so that's my comments, I don't know. Oh, and for clarification, for Harvest Landing, for example, how many houses would have to be transferred for the commercial component?
It would have to transfer, we have a slide if you want to show that.
Oh,
but
yes, please.
Raphael, can you change the last slide? So they would need to move 513 units. So that's the area that's highlighted in black. That's their commercial area. So if they needed to move that, they would move 513 to the River Glen, and there's a we did some calculation. That would be, currently the 6.3, they would go up to about 9 units per acre for that, if it's strictly just a 513 units.
And if they want to move all their units, which is really their intention, how much would that be?
That would be, I think we have that table, I think it's 10 or 15 units. Raphael, can you bring that kind of summary table that we had to get the 1,800 units? Go back to so to move all the about 10 units, approximately 10 units per acre to get all the units over there.
Okay. So, okay. Oh, because that's their existing.
Yeah.
So it would more than,
Yeah, it was, sorry, 1,200 plus 1,800, so that's about, what is it, 3,000? So you get it, well, 15, 18
so
range.
it'll triple, almost triple.
Yeah.
What they have, okay.
Yeah.
Does that fill the River Glen project, or is there still a lot of space over there? After
The River Glen is like 200 acres, so it's massive in scale.
huge.
It's kind of hard to kind of put a sense of scale because it's such a large
So
piece of property.
I don't know anything about this River Glen. It's a specific plan for residential, but no one's entitled it?
Yes, it's an existing specific plan. It's been around for decades.
Yeah,
It's not just residential. It includes commercial, office. I think we have here we go. Here's the land use. Mainly, it's all residential, and you can see the various minimum lot sizes, a lot of open space.
There's some commercial in the C, and then there's like 68 acres next to it that's commercial that hasn't been developed. So the kind of, you see the red stands for commercial at the northwest corner and the southeast corner just before you get to the 68 acres.
And the blue and the yellow, what does that stand for? All residential?
I think they're public. I can't recall exactly. I can't remember the exact color. I can look at.
It's open space.
It's
Oh, it's open space too, yeah.
It's characterized.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, if you can share the screen with me. I've seen River Glen before, but I'm not getting the screen that you guys are getting.
Oh. Everett, are you able to share the screen?
think he's
Oh,
working-
he's going to
he's
share
working.
it. There we
Okay.
go. Thank you. One thing I just want to add is, if you recall, when we did our RENA update or for our housing element, we did also do overlay zones for up to 30 units per acre. It doesn't necessarily mean it's an automatic 30 units per acre, but that's kind of the standard for high density, to be able to have affordable housing. So each project, as they come in, would have to do their own specific plan amendment. So just because you do an overlay, it just gives you the ability to go up to that many. But like Councilmember Corona mentioned, we still have to do independent studies for the infrastructure. So it may not be able to fit 30 units per acre. So it's just an overlay.
So with the concern I have though is that River Glen's going to be kind of a dumping ground for all these industrial projects that kind of dump their residential bank, I guess. And but we're not going to have any houses being built. And they're taking away from places that are prime locations where houses should be. I mean, you know, when you talk about Harvest Landing, the original plan was a beautiful plan. I totally understand on the front edge of Paris Boulevard, that's a great location for commercial. I'm open to it. But the rest of it is just prime location for houses next to the freeway. It's a great location. Same thing with the other three portions. So that is my concern. I'm a bit hesitant.
All right,
on it,
so
but-
put something together, come back so we can start working on it.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Rafael. All right, item 12C is consideration to review and provide recommendations to staff for the draft fiscal year 2025-2026 and the 2026-2027 budget. This will be introduced by Director of Finance Matthew Schenk.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council. Yes, here we are again, proposing the draft budget for the next two-year budget for 25-26 and 26-27. What we're looking for from the council tonight is to review, provide recommendations, and possibly changes by the City Council. These budgets tell the financial story of the city, the past, the present, and the future, what's coming up, what we've learned from the past. This isn't just a finance-only document. This is work with all departments, all directors, and their staff, going through all their goals and accomplishments. They're redoing the staff allocations because over 2 years, new positions are created, employees change departments, whatnot. So it's just a good refresh every 2 years. As far as the timeline, March 1st, we started this. The first budget preparation meeting with staff. March through April, we met with all the departments and directors. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of drafts. April 23rd, a draft presentation to the city manager and assistant city manager. May 13th, we're here tonight. This is a draft update to the city council. This will be presented to the Ways and Means Committee on May 30th. And then finally, June 10th, we are expecting to present the final draft for approval to the city council. So some of the key considerations for this budget. Obviously, it goes without saying it's an extremely volatile market. Unknown effect of the tariffs that seem to turn on, turn off every other week. A possible recession. Interest rates are staying constant. And liability insurance conditions are not great. I'll go more into that in detail. Back in 2019, the city did pay off its unfunded accrued liability for PERS, and we are still contributing about $230,000 per year to that. And I am happy to say for the next 2 years, we are proposing a very small surplus of about $86,000 per year for 25-26 and 26-27.
Still a surplus.
We're hanging in there. So some of the revenue discussions we have, additional revenues, we have seen quite a bit of increase in our vehicle license fee in lieu. That is a value-based tax on vehicles within the city. Tax sharing agreement with March Joint Powers Authority wasn't on there 2 years ago when we did the last 2-year budget. A couple potential decreases in revenue. Forever 21 has a warehouse within the city. They have gone bankrupt. Also, ARPA funds are drying up. We were required to have those under contract or spent by December 31st of last year. And lastly, it's not on the slide, but we're aware that the cannabis revenue is decreased from its peak. So general fund reserves. Obviously, reserves represent the excess revenues over expenditures since city has kept records. As you're aware, the city has a minimum 35% threshold of the city's general fund revenues. What that means is, for whatever reason, if the city was not receiving any revenue anymore, we could handle 35% of the general fund budget before we have concerns. And obviously, city reserve levels are audited by Rams, Rogers Anderson, Melody, and Scott. And I am happy, I should have the final numbers for the reserves for the year ending 23-24 at the June 10th council meeting. So getting into our actual reserves, the far right column is the total. There's 4 different levels of categories, categories. There's non-spendable, committed, assigned, and unassigned. Non-spendable is a requirement, covers prepaid items and deposits. Committed, this is that 35% threshold of the general fund revenue that is approved by the city. We cannot touch that. There's assigned. This was assigned by the city council for 4 different items. Total is $6.2 million. $3.4 million of that is for disaster preparedness, $1.3 million for vehicles and equipment, $1.3 million for major capital improvement, and a $200,000 budget contingency. Lastly, unassigned, obviously that's not restricted in any way. The council is allowed to use that as they will, as they please. Total reserves, you'll see decrease from 108% down to 88%. Since June 30 of 24, we have had some expenditures, 2 major ones, $4.1 million for the water consolidation with EMWD, and $10.5 million expenditure for funding deltas on 3 parks. However, $8.5 million of that will be paid back to the reserves over time, bringing the reserves back up to about $72 million, if that were to happen right now. So general fund revenues, it's important to note the 2 left columns, and I should have had a line on the bottom. I know I do on the future slides. The 2 left columns are actuals. The middle column and the 2 right columns are budgets. So what we actually expend is not always exactly what we budget. For example, if we have an open position that doesn't get filled until halfway through the year, obviously we'll have savings throughout that first 6 months, since we budget for that position from day 1, but we don't have the expense coming down until 6 months later. So you can see it's pretty steady. It's a pretty flat budget compared with the prior years. And so we have about 150 revenue line items that come into the city. I'm not going to go through each one of those. So we've got it broken down here on the major ones. Sales and use tax is our biggest, $29.1 million, or 33% of our general fund revenue. Property tax comes in at $15.7 million, or 18%. Transfers in $6.6 million, or 7%. Vehicle license fee that I mentioned earlier, that comes in at 14%, or $12.4 million. Other taxes is $17.3 million. That's a catch-all of 80 different revenue line items. Cannabis tax, in past years, we've had that, I believe, up to almost $6 million, and now we're budgeting around $3.2 million. Franchise fees of $4.6 million, or 5%.
So if I'm not mistaken, and we don't have to worry about it right now, but the VLF fees, the last time we visited this was somewhere in the neighborhood of $9 million. We've really jumped up, and I just want to point out that because we get a lot of comments from our constituents about so many car washes, but there's a lot of cars in our city that they keep on registering, and it's not just about new cars and increase. Man, that's such a big jump. That just means there's more people, more cars, and that's why all these car washes are doing well in our city.
That's a good point. Moving on to the expenditures. Again, on this slide, I had the terms on the bottom. The first 2 lines, first 2 columns are actuals. The next 3 are budgets. So we do expect, because when we budget, we budget for the worst. we tend to budget low on revenues and higher on expenses so worst-case scenario. So as we get the final numbers for 24-25, which we haven't ended yet, we do expect that to come down. For that 81.4 million, we expect that to come down slightly. Again, you can see just a slow, steady increase through these 5 years, relatively flat for these 2-year budget. So as I mentioned, how does the general fund get broken up by departments? Like most cities, public safety takes about 39% from our city, 35.4 million. Police is 27% or 24.3 million. I'm sorry, I'm working from top right, going around in clockwise if you're following along. Fire is 11.1 million or 12%. Community services, parks is 9.8 million or 11%. Public services is a new department that is community services split, and we created a new department for public services. That's 2.4%, or 2.4 million, 3%. Public works is 10.5 million or 12%. Engineering is 4.1 million or 5%. And this is the 3rd and 4th year that we have in-house engineering. Just wanted to point that out. Municipal enforcement, 5 million or 6%. Development services is 6.1 million or 7%. Admin at 9.6 million or 11%. Finance is 2.1 million or 2%. Digital media, again, is like public services. This is a new department that broke off from information technology. Is 776,000 or 1%. And IT is 2.2 million or 2%. Yes.
A quick question, Mr. Shank. With engineering, since we've gone in-house, has that helped us save funds? I mean, I definitely appreciate that we're now in-house, but has that been?
As far as the money on it, it's real close to breaking even.
Okay.
They're still had some hiring recently, building up the department, but so there is some still contract services that we have in there.
Yeah.
However, it's right there to breaking even.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
for year 3 and 4, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but I think they've been doing a great job being in-house. But thank you.
And lastly, a transfer out of 600,000 or 1%. This is looking at the same data, but in 4 different categories. Personnel, obviously day-to-day salaries, benefits for employees. Operations, the day-to-day operations, capital outlay. That can be things like software acquisition, technology, hardware, building improvements, and mostly vehicles. And lastly, the transfers out. I was reviewing this today, and I was really surprised to see 22-23 was 57.9 million, and then went up to 74.8 million the next year. The only thing I can come up is we were still coming out of COVID. People weren't traveling. We weren't going to conferences. So a lot of people were still working remote. But as you can see, it's back kind of plateaued. It's slowly increasing, as I mentioned before, but nothing drastic. As far as how we've done in the last 5 years, that 22-23, the blue is revenue, orange is expenses, and gray is the surplus. You can see we had a 13.9 million surplus that year. It was a really good year. Again, the best thing I can come up with is we were coming out of COVID, so we didn't have the expenditures we were expecting. 24-25, a minimal 387,000 projected surplus as of right now. Those final numbers will come out around December. We'll present that to council. And the next 2 years, as I mentioned earlier, is just minimal surplus, 86,000 per year. Again, this is budgeting low, conservative on revenues and higher up on the expenditures. I'm not going to go through every department. I have just a few I'd like to point out. I'll go through them quickly. You can see they're very stable. City manager, human resources, very stable. This is not stable. Self-funded insurance. The city contracts or gets their insurance through PIRMA, Public Entity Risk Management Authority. The insurance market is terrible right now. I sit on the PIRMA board. I'm actually the president of PIRMA, And we meet monthly, we have executive committee meetings, and we're doing everything we can to try to mitigate this as best we can. But, you know, the cost of rebuilding something, cost of materials now to rebuild a property, more lawsuits against cities. And I mean, for example, cybersecurity insurance, we didn't have that 5 years ago. So it's just a completely different market. And we're in with 32 other agencies with PERMA, so like City of Menifee, City of Moreno Valley, they're in there with us too. So this is not just us. Next is internal services. That has a increase. Most of that is with utilities. We don't have water utility anymore, so we pay our water bill to Eastern Municipal. Going quickly. Information technology, you may look at this and say, wow, it dropped. Why are we dropping? As I mentioned earlier, this is due to a split between digital media and information technology. Engineering consistent. I'd be happy to stop at any of these if you have any, just for the sake of time. This is the next one I wanted to stop at, just because it does catch your attention. And what this is in 25-26, we are including the clean out of catch basins and the storm drains, whereas the next year we go back and only do the catch basins. Is that correct? Okay. So that's why there's a significant increase for the next year. Public Works Engineering, consistent. Street maintenance, just wanted to point out that we are putting $300,000 in there for contract services for the tree maintenance. With, you know, winds and things that we've had the last couple of years, we wanted to point this out. Recreation services, just like IT, there's a drop because it was a department split. And that concludes, oh, I apologize. Here's one more, which Mr. Scoville will give an update on. There you can see our fire services contract amount is increasing. And I'm sure Mr. Scoville will be happy to answer all those questions for you at the end of the night. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak from the public?
No, sir.
All right. Council, anybody have any questions? I think you're doing such an awesome job, Mr. Shank. You're good to go. Just bring back that check. All right, moving on. Item D is consideration to 12D, consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, establishing a flag handling and display policy for flags flown on city-owned facilities. This is going to be introduced by Mr. Wendell Bugtai, our Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. What you have before you is the flag handling and display policy. So just a little background. Currently, the city has no formal flag policy, which kind of exposes us to some legal liabilities. So in 2022, there was a Supreme Court ruling, Shurtleff versus City of Boston. The City of Boston allowed for nearly 300 flags to be flown on City Hall campus for about 12 years. By not exercising control over these flags, it allowed the City of Boston to function as private speech and not government speech. So Harold Shurtleff, representing a Christian-based organization, was denied a flag request, ultimately leading to the Supreme Court ruling that the City of Boston violated the organization's First Amendment rights. So with that, staff does recommend adopting a flag policy display for government speech only and allowing the military and branch flags for the city's Veterans Memorial. There's also 3 other cities within Riverside County out of the 28 cities that have flag policies, and they are all only for government speech. As far as council recommendation, we recommend that the City Council consider and adopt proposed resolution next in order, establishing a flag handling and display policy for flags flown on city facilities. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bugtai. Madam Clerk, any public comments?
No, sir.
Very good. Council, deliberation, comments, questions? Motion?
Make a motion that we approve the proposed ordinance as found in the agenda packet.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I will second that.
Call the vote, please.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. 12E is consideration to receive and file the Climate Action Plan update on the implementation status of the reduction measures outlined in the Paris Climate Action Plan. This will be introduced by Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Yeah, good evening, mayors and members of the city council. Again, this will be presented by Rafael Garcia, our principal planner.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council. I'll keep this brief. As you indicated, the item before you is an update on the Climate Action Plan. Just to provide a little bit of background, last year, City Council directed staff to provide an update on the Climate Action Plan, which was adopted back in February 23rd, 2016. This includes a wide variety of local action measures to achieve reduction of greenhouse gas emissions for consistency with state law. Overall, the city has completed 8 of these measures. There's an additional 7 measures that will continue to be ongoing. And this is includes 1 energy measure and 6 transportation measures involving the ongoing implementation of new development projects, as well as infrastructure improvements planned as part of the city's CIP projects. So overall, bicycle infrastructure, the city has completed overall 10 projects to enhance bicycle infrastructure throughout the city, and it's also currently working on Phase 2 of the Paris Valley Storm Drain Trail. With regards to bicycle parking, the city zoning code, as well as the building code, has requirements for requiring bicycle parking as part of new development. With regards to the frequency of transit expansion, the city does route projects to the RTA as part of our development review with projects so that they can require bus shelters and overall infrastructure to help support transit frequency. With regards to parking, limiting parking for new developments in order to make development projects more feasible, the zoning code currently does include shared parking provisions to include flexibility. The downtown area also has more flexibility with regards to parking standards in that there's a lot of on-street parking along the public right-of-way. And with regards to yard waste collection, CR&R provides receptacles for the community, and these receptacles are for trash, recycling, and green waste receptacles. So this is handled by them. With regards to traffic signal coordination, these measures are measures that are currently in progress and they will be ongoing, but the city has completed the synchronization of traffic signals along Paris Boulevard and is currently working on a second traffic signal synchronization project. With regards to mixed-use development, mixed-use and live-work opportunities are allowed in the Downtown Specific Plan. They are intended to allow for a wide variety of flexibility with regards to mixed uses in that more dense portion of the city. With regards to design and site planning, currently engineering is involved in the installation of LED flashing stop signs along Navajo Road, 7th Street, C Street, and D Street. And this has been coordinated along with the city to improve traffic signaling visibility. And with regards to pedestrian-only areas, the city has worked on various projects to enhance pedestrian-only community areas, including the Enchanted Hills Community Park and the Paris Valley Storm Drain Trail. That concludes the presentation. Staff is available to answer any questions that the City Council may have, and staff is recommending that the City Council receive and file the update on the implementation status of the Paris Climate Action Plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rafael. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Council, anybody have any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, this is a receive and file item, so thank you very much, Rafael. 12F, consideration to receive and file the annual fire department update. This was introduced by our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Ernest Reyna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Yes, as we did last meeting with our public safety, we provided an update from the Riverside County Sheriffs, and today we're going to provide an update from the CAL FIRE. So we have before us Division Chief, Fire Chief Mark Scoville, who will give us that presentation. Take it away, Mark.
Is this going to be a hot report?
And in the sake of time, absolutely, let's do this. So this is your annual 2024 annual report. I have to justify to Mr. Shank why I'm spending all of that money. I want to tell you that 2024 was a marvelous year for the City of Paris and the expansion of fire services. We have increased our staffing on a daily from 7 to 11. We have added a rescue squad in the downtown station. It was placed in service in October. We will see the full benefits of that this year in 2025. On that rescue squad, every day is one engineer and one firefighter paramedic. On the engine, which is the larger of the two apparatus you see before you, the engine has one captain, one engineer, and one firefighter. We increased that staffing for what we call traditional staffing to have a captain on duty every day at that fire station, 7 days a week. Our North Paris station, Quint 90, the large apparatus there, we received a brand new one in 2024. May of 2024, we received a brand new Quint. We call it a Quint because it has a large aerial on the top, it has a pump, it has ladders, hose, and tools. So it has 5 capabilities. It is staffed every day, 7 days a week, with one captain, one engineer, and 2 firefighters. The rescue squad out of Station 90 is staffed with one engineer and one firefighter paramedic for a total of 6 personnel and a total of 11 throughout the city, which is why the increase happened, which is a good increase for this city. The total calls for 2024 increased roughly about 800 calls for a 9.74 increase from 2023 to 2024. I checked the math several times. It's a large increase. As you can see, the averages for the last 4 years was only about 3% that we increased. This year, we increased dramatically, and I'm not quite sure. I'm going to continue watching that for you guys to ensure that we're still being able to fulfill those deals. Our goal for the City of Paris is to average 3,066 calls for service per piece of equipment, or an average of 8.4 calls per day. Some of the highlights, we are currently working with the City of Paris staff towards these goals. Rescue Squad 90 placed in service February 19th, 2024. Rescue Squad 101 placed in service October 14th, 2024. The South Paris Fire Station, land has been secured, and we are currently in the design phase with a STK architecture. Average calls for service per apparatus in 2023 was 11.75 calls per apparatus, which was over what our goal is. This year, I can tell you that 2024, we averaged 6.4 calls per apparatus per day. That is a dramatic decrease and well underneath our thresholds that we are looking at. Our breakdowns of calls, 6,932 medical aids, an increase of 600 calls for 2023, from 2023. 755 traffic collisions, 628 false alarms, and a total call volume of 9,394 calls. As always, our commitment to the City of Paris is protecting lives and property. Again, my name is Mark Scoville. I'm your division chief, your fire chief for the City of Paris. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that brief and well-rounded report.
Thanks, buddy.
No
Appreciate it.
problem.
Mayor, sorry, sir.
It's okay, pal. Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment?
No, sir.
Council, anybody questions or comments?
I did, but then you walked away. No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
So on a serious note, though, Chief, I kept bugging you a lot, but, because this is one department that did not ask for any increases. I've been mayor now, this is my 9th year, and you guys have been really quiet, and now we have some increasing, but that's good, because our population is growing, and I appreciate you coming up and beefing up our stations, and working now on our 3rd fire station, so things are moving good. You're nowhere near the cost that my friend back there with the gun, the chief of police, is costing the city, but
Ammunition prices went up due to
Apparently
the state of
so.
California, extra taxes. So I have to say that for the city staff and the council, you guys have been nothing but helpful in this endeavor to try and bolster the fire services within the city. And because of your guys' commitment to public safety, this community is going to be much safer. So I really appreciate it, and I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with.
yeah, okay, well, you're not going to get a raise, so. No, seriously, Chief, thank you so much. We appreciate just you as well, and of
10%.
course, our police friends back there, too. Public safety is definitely a very high priority for this council. It always has been and will always be, so.
Well, it truly
Residents
shows.
come first. Thank you.
Truly shows. Thank you.
All right, takes us to closing up shop here already. Yeah. Item 13, council communications. Up front is going to be Councilwoman Vallejo.
Yes, I first wanted to thank the Community Services Department, Arsenio Ramirez, and city staff for doing Earth Day. We've never done Earth Day before, and even though it was a smaller one next year, don't worry, guys, it's going to be bigger. But I am very grateful for the team and for the city staff who saw the same perspective as me, that we need to really focus on Earth Day. And for the future, I really plan to find a pathway for more scientists to come, so then students can learn more and then have other roles of jobs in that science-related field. So it was a great event, and thank you to everyone that was there. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait for next year. Also, I'm very excited to go with the majority of my colleagues this weekend for the ICSE conference, which is an International Council of Shopping Centers. Never been, first time, but I'm gonna be like the best salesman you guys have ever seen, because I really want more commercial, and we're gonna see what we can do. Also, it was also my first State of the City, and the chamber did excellent, staff did excellent, and I was very excited to be a part of it. I'm very excited for this whole team. Ernie is an amazing actor. That guy deserves an award. He deserves an Academy Award because he did amazing in it. And I always like to give him a shout out because I literally called him the day that I had to film, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I really appreciate you, Ernie, for being so flexible. And next year is going to be better, funnier, and I think, we should all really implement a really good skit to really show our community and other stakeholders that we're not just council members, but we're genuine people who like to have some fun every now and then. But other than that, those are all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Corona.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's been a really long time since last meeting, so there's been a lot of events. So excuse me if I kind of skipped some, but for some of the ones that stand out, we did have the along with the mayor and staff the Target groundbreaking. So I'm really excited about that. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but they're saying estimated. So don't quote me on this. Estimated about July 26th. But so we're looking forward to that.
No.
Okay, Cinco de Mayo event. Great event. Staff did a phenomenal job. The band was good. The music was good. Everyone was having a great time. So great job on that event. And then with the State of the City was a great thing. And I know that was a few days ago, but I just want to wish Councilwoman Nava and the city manager and our city attorney Sultani and all of the mothers, including our city clerk, Salazar, a wonderful Mother's Day, especially to my wife and to my mother as well, too, and all the women in Paris. So happy Mother's Day to you. And today I have my son Malcolm, which many of you guys remember in a stroller and diapers at the time. He just turned 10 today. So
Happy birthday,
to
Malcolm.
him. So that's all the comments from me. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. For the sake of time, I won't reiterate. All the events have already been touched on, but one that hasn't was a dog parade, which is a really lovely event. And it was great to see all residents with their really cute dogs out there. And then I also had the opportunity to drop by our Day of Caring event, which was well executed by our city staff. And this is an event geared primarily and strictly for our homelessness population. So great vendors and great events to be put forward, and it happens annually. And then the last topic I'd like to discuss is just last night, the mayor and I serve on the March JPA, and there was a very contentious item on the agenda. And just to report out, basically one of the main takeaways is that a project was denied where they were bringing forth an insane amount of industrial acres. So I'm happy to report that that won't be coming to our region. And I also wanted to commend our mayor because, as you could already imagine, tensions were high, and it was a very, 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 very well-attended, if you will, meeting with plenty of public speakers. So again, I'd just like to thank the mayor for being able to run a tight ship and basically have us moving forward at a pretty decent time. So thank you for that. And those are all the comments I have. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I'd like to start off by thanking all the staff members who helped coordinate, allowing me to do this meeting virtually. I tend to have a conference work-related for my full-time job sometime in April or May over the last few years. So I want to thank everyone for getting the agenda posted and allowing me to attend virtually. A few weeks ago, last Saturday, actually, the Saturday before last, I was able to attend Assembly Member Corey Jackson's State of the District update. And it was a very elected officials brunch. And he gave updates regarding how the state of California is anticipating certain budget cuts from the federal government. And one of the things that stuck with me was he indicated that we should be prepared that there may be, the state may be pulling funding that had been promised in the past. So we just want to be cognizant of that moving forward. But I'd like to thank staff for presenting a budget with a surplus. Given that issue, I think we should move forward on looking at possibly declaring a fiscal emergency. I know that sounds like very dramatic, but I think given the increase of a lot of price goods and things like that, we should maybe bring a resolution forward in the near future, because I do think that we should bring the square footage warehouse tax back, whether or not we should bring it back for a special election, November 2025 this year, or coming back in June of 26. I think we can discuss it as a council, but I think we should look into declaring a fiscal emergency so that we can look at different avenues to bring that back as a ballot measure regarding that. Once again, I'd also like to thank Community Services putting on a well-attended Cinco de Mayo festival. I attended after the elected officials brunch briefly, and it was a very well-attended event. And just want to continue to thank staff for all the great events. I want to thank the Rotary for hosting the Rotary City Honors. It was a pleasure to attend with Mayor Vargas and Councilman Corona. We honored Katie McClendon, a longtime Paris volunteer and elected official on the Paris Elementary School Board. She received the Alberta Mabel Kearney Award for the Volunteer of the Year. That's an award we've given numerous years, named after Mabel Kearney, who founded the Black History Museum and passed away in 2016. So it was a great event. Good to see a lot of people who've been involved in the community over the last decades, actually, with many of the people. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, and just like thank everyone for keeping the meeting rolling today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I'll try to keep the ones that weren't acknowledged as well. I attended with our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Reyna, the National Crimes Victims' Right Week ceremony in Riverside, which is hosted by District Attorney Mike Kestron. This is always a great event, and I get to read off names of our victims. Enchanted Hills Elementary College and Career Day, Valverde USD Art Show. I was able to pick a Mayor's Choice Award. Did you guys mention Breakfast with the Bunny? No. Breakfast with the Bunny was another annual event. Thank you to our community services for putting on a great event. 2025 March Airfield Show. It was a great show this year. Councilman Corona was there along with me. I don't know if any of you made it on any of the dates, but to watch those Thunderbirds is always exciting. Did you guys mention Raising Kings? No. Went to Raising Kings. It's okay, I got you covered. Valverde Moval Student of the Month Breakfast. CMI Annual Professionals Interview Day. I always love interviewing the students. Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce Chairman's Circle evening, that was a great event at the Derby Room. Lighthouse Community Church Easter community event I attended. I finally got to go to one of the Chambers Avazando workshop. That's for our Hispanic business leaders. I was able to give comments out for the kickoff for the Coffee with Your Congressman. Congressman Mark Takano attended our senior center and had coffee with our community members. Chamber of Commerce Chase Bank Chamber Workshop, that was good from the Chase Bank. The wife and I, the First Lady, we finally got, this is one of my bucket lists, the Shun Young Show, the Shun Young program, whatever it is, the Chinese dancers. Councilman Corona was there with his wife as well. And Vallejo, that's right, Vallejo was there. This was at the Riverside Fox Theater. That was a pretty interesting theater, a little tight, but it was nice. Paris Valley Filipino American 13th Annual Induction Ceremony. Me and Mr. Bucktie attended that. Another Law Enforcement Association Committee Recognition Ceremony. Me and Assistant City Manager Rain attended that again. Paris Union High School 4th Annual Recognition Gala. Anybody go? You went. She was there. Yeah, see? Dr. Hernandez, our local doctor here in Paris, had his, from Hernandez Health, they had their Mother's Day event at his facility up on the north side of Paris, honoring mothers as well as all the birthdays for May. Boys and Girls Club Pizza Party. This is from the Rotary Club. That's always entertaining. We talked about the honors. Taekwondo Festival for Riverside County. I was honored to be there, and I received an honorary black belt. Yes, that was a pretty cool event. I didn't have to fight anybody for that. Outside of that, a very special happy Mother's Day to my wife, my beautiful 4 daughters, and everybody else in our community and staff. That being said, we'll move on to item 14, City Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I am proud to announce that the Planning Division was awarded the Excellence in Planning Award by the Inland Empire American Planning Association for the Density Bonus Guidelines Ordinance, and they will be recognized tomorrow evening at the APA's annual Planning Gala. So congratulations to Kenneth, Patricia, and Raphael and their team. Great job. And also, more good news. As a part of Public Service Recognition Week, our Public Information Officer, Stephen Hill, was named one of the top influencers in local government by the Engaging Local Government Leaders Association. This list does include 100 people working in and with local governments throughout the U.S. So also congratulations to Stephen Hill. And lastly, the City of Paris Mayor's Art Contest for Paris Middle School and High School students has been extended through May 30th. You can still drop off your artwork on campus or email it to publicart@cityofparis.org. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Very good. That takes us to our adjournment exactly at 9 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, for watching us on social media. Have a great rest of your evening, and be safe.